Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome to my Premier League Match Week 23 predictions, where today we're going to be discussing every game coming your way for this Premier League match weekend. And is that fire I smell? What a Premier League match weekend we have got ahead of us. Yes, I know I said literally every single Premier League match weekend, but I genuinely do mean it. Look, we can't be surprised. It's the best league in the entire world. You're always going to get incredible fixtures. But amongst the 10 games that we have to look out for, we've got Everton versus Aston Villa. Obviously, Lucas Digne versus his former club. We've got Manchester United versus West Ham, both fighting out for a top 4 spot. And we've also got Tottenham Hotspurs versus Chelsea. An absolutely gigantic game. And guys, I want you to put down in the comment section down below, what is your score prediction for Spurs versus Chelsea? I'm interested to see your guys' opinions on it. But of course, let's jump straight into the predictions. But as we get into that, before we get into that, as you guys can see, much like Harry Maguire from the Manchester United game, my hair needed a cut.
Is it too strong to say embarrassing?
And I hope it looks semi-good. I kind of like it a lot better than what my hair looked like during the grow out lockdown phase. But you know what, I'm getting distracted here. Let's jump straight into the predictions. And game number 1 that we have to look out for is going to be Watford versus Norwich. Now, as you guys can see, I wouldn't necessarily say that either of these two teams have been in brilliant form. Look, one thing that can definitely stand out is the fact that Norwich have just come out of a 3-2 win with Everton, saying that you do have to take into consideration that it was a Rafa Benitez Everton team. We're now obviously managed by Duncan Ferguson. Obviously, I'll discuss the impact they'll have a bit later on. But I do think that Everton were just absolutely dreadful in that game, and you can't read too much into that. Obviously, looking at Norwich, there are just so many points that I think they have to improve on. Obviously, looking at Watford, I can definitely say the same about them. Obviously, they've only won one more game than Norwich. I think it's going to be a very, very close game, but I do think Watford are going to steal the result. I feel like on the defensive front, yes, they drew with Newcastle United 1-1. That was due to a stupid mistake at the back. But I still feel like Watford have got so much quality, although they're missing players to AFCON. I still think that they've got an incredibly strong squad, and I think that they should get the win versus a very weak Norwich team so far this season. I'm going to give it a 1-0 win, and my player to watch, I'm going to put the likes of King up front, because looking at King, I mean, you don't just get a name like that. Well, I guess Joshua King did just get a name like that. But looking at his performance versus Newcastle United, although he didn't score a goal, the runs that he made were absolutely second to none. I think he had a very good game. I think so far this season he's been strong. And I think versus Norwich, who's very leaky in defense, I think he'll definitely be your player to watch. Now jumping into our second game, as I said, Everton versus Aston Villa. We've of course got a team who's managed by Duncan Ferguson now. He's been announced to be the interim manager of Everton. And I'm not going to lie, to me that really improves the state of Everton. I've been saying it forever now, and you guys will know this if you've watched my channel for any bit of time. I've always gone on about how I think Duncan Ferguson is the perfect manager for Everton. I mean, he's been there for such a long time. There's been stages where he's managed games and he's gotten big results versus teams like Manchester United, Chelsea. I've never been disappointed by Duncan Ferguson at Everton, so I think he could do a really, really good job. Looking at Aston Villa, they've been doing incredibly well under Gerrard, so I do think it will be a really, really tight game, and that is why my prediction will be a 2-2 draw. As I said, I think it's going to be incredibly close. As I said, I think Everton will improve under Ferguson. I mean, it's not like Ferguson's have a good record in the Premier League, is it?
That's one of the most stupid questions I've ever heard in my life.
But yeah, as I said, looking at Aston Villa, once again, they've improved tenfold since adding some players to their squad. Mainly Coutinho, who got a goal and an assist, versus Manchester United within 12 minutes. He got the same amount of Premier League goals this season as Jadon Sancho. That's not something I want to talk about right now. As I said, I think it will be a draw, and my player to watch is going to be Lucas Digne. Obviously has just moved, has only played one game since moving from Everton to Aston Villa. Obviously going to be a lot of pressure on him. I thought he was really, really good versus Manchester United. So yeah, I do think the new Aston Villa left back will be the difference maker and a player to watch, although I could have easily gone for Coutinho. Moving on, we've got Brentford versus Wolves. Now, of course, I mean, the Brentford manager, Thomas Frank, just spat absolute fire and facts in his press conference after the United game. Brentford very much could have gone 2-0 up versus United in the first half. I mean, as a United fan, I can admit, we were shaky. If it wasn't for David De Gea, I don't know what we would have done, which I'm so glad. That man is finally back in form. If he's not our player of the season, then I'll sell my left shoe to charity.
I don't know. I think that's a bit dodgy, mate.
I don't know, I'm going to do something. But David De Gea has been incredible, and I think Brentford were very lucky to not get a point from United. Obviously, things fell apart kind of in the second half, but I have been very, very impressed with Brentford. Obviously, last time they faced Wolves, they won 2-0. We're looking at Wolves. They've been in really, really good form as of late. I've been really, really impressed with them. Once again, attacking-wise, I do think to an extent they need to pick up, but they've just gotten a very comfortable win versus Southampton. Obviously, a 3-1 win versus Southampton. Looking at Brentford, a 3-1 loss to Manchester United. Obviously, the facts would say that Wolves do look like the stronger team heading into this, and I do think that will be the case. I'm going to go for a Wolves 1-0 win. As I said, I think it will be close, but I think Wolves will scrape it, and you have to put a clean sheet there, because my player to watch, once again, will be Jose Sá. The Portuguese goalkeeper has been terrific this entire season. My goalkeeper of the season, in my opinion, in the Premier League. He's just been absolutely brilliant. One of the best goalkeepers in the league, and I think you'll see that versus Brentford. Moving on, we've got Leeds versus Newcastle. Now, once again, a fairly tricky prediction. Although Leeds have had a horrid season, it's weird to see 5 wins versus Newcastle's 1 win, and it's weird to see 1 win for a team that's dubbed to be the next title winner. Obviously, looking at Newcastle United, they recently just came out of a draw versus Watford. Wasn't the most promising result. I mean, they would have wanted to get a win from that, but obviously looking at Newcastle United, they need to improve defensively. But on the attacking front, they look really, really decent. I think obviously Alan Saint-Maximin proved that he could play for a top 6 team. Saying that, we don't know, in the next season or two, Newcastle could be a top 6 team. But saying that, looking at these two teams, it's going to be very, very close. Leeds have just won 3-2 versus West Ham, a team in 4th place on the Premier League. So Leeds could pull out a shock result, or they could pull out a big result. As I said, I think it's going to be a very, very close game. In terms of a prediction, I'm swaying either way, but I am going to go for a 1-1 draw, purely because looking at these two teams, Newcastle have gotten 9 draws this season, Leeds have gotten 7, so it very much could happen. And my player to watch, although I'd love to go for Harrison, I feel like you almost have to go for a player who got a hat-trick in his previous game. I'm going to go for Alan Saint-Maximin. As I said, he was the difference maker for Newcastle last time out, and I think he shall do it again. Now moving on, we've got United versus West Ham. Now I'm not going to lie, something about me just really isn't confident about this. Yes, I know United have won in the Premier League, at least their last 4 games or whatever versus West Ham, but it's always such a tricky team to go against. Obviously looking at West Ham United, they've really done well this season in the top 4 spot in the Premier League, although they've just lost 3-2 to Leeds United. Once again, I think it's going to be a seriously close fight, because once again United haven't been super convincing under Ralf Rangnick, saying that they've only won or lost 1 game in their last 9 games under Ralf Rangnick. That's not bad at all. Only 1 loss. I'll definitely take that. But yeah, as I said, if the performances aren't really convincing, if you almost go 2-0 down to Brentford in the first half, you do have to ask questions. As I said, I think it'll be an incredibly close game, but because we haven't lost many games under Ralf Rangnick, I think I might go for a United 2-1 win. As I said, going to be very, very close. Genuinely could go either way. Maybe it's the biasness in me being a Manchester United fan. I don't know, but I think United could take a win, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went the other way. And in terms of a player to watch, I am going to go for the young Elanga. That kid has been brilliant for Manchester United, the young Swedish prodigy. I mean, genuinely out of all of our attackers in the last 2-3 games, he's been the most exciting and promising. And once again, I think he's just in good form at the moment. Scored in his previous game and will be one to watch in a game like this. Now moving on, we've got Southampton versus Manchester City. Now looking at these two teams, last time they played, it was a draw. Obviously, Man City will hope not to do that again. Obviously, Man City themselves have been in good form, 12 wins in a row. Obviously, just beat Chelsea 1-0, one of the top competitors. I think Man City in this game are the clear favourites, and looking at Southampton, yes, I do like them. Just lost 3-1 to Wolves. I am going to have to give City a 2-0 win. Although City, as I said, the clear favourites, it's never an absolute run-over game versus Southampton between these two. It's always somewhat tight. I mean, Southampton is almost Man City's kryptonite to a certain extent. Or I guess that would be Wolverhampton Wanderers. No, actually, Wolverhampton Wanderers is every white girl's cockroach in the kitchen kind of scenario. It's just not pretty at all, and it could definitely end up in flames. But yeah, as I said, City versus Southampton, I am going to predict City to win, and my player to watch is going to be Kevin De Bruyne, good old KD. be one of the best midfielders in the world. As we know, he hasn't gotten off to that rocket start he normally does in the Premier League this season. Has gotten 6 assists, scored an amazing winning goal versus Chelsea. As we said, even if Kevin De Bruyne doesn't put up the numbers, he's still a fantastic player, and versus Southampton, he's bound to do something. Unless Southampton get a free kick, because the likelihood of James Ward-Prowse scoring it, I think it's relatively high, because it is official. The only player in the Premier League to score more direct free kicks than Ward-Prowse is David Beckham. Now that's a stat to be proud of. Now moving down, we've got Arsenal versus Burnley. No, now this is every white girl's cockroach in a kitchen scenario. Arsenal have not done well versus versus Burnley in their last few appearances, and it's almost a team that they should be relatively scared of. Saying that, Thomas Partey has arrived back at Arsenal after being knocked out of AFCON with Ghana, which, by the way, guys, obviously if you're brand new to my channel, or if you haven't seen any of my AFCON content, I have been doing a lot of it so far this month, I guess. So if you do want to check out my AFCON content, make sure to subscribe down below. I know you want to hit it, make sure to hit that subscribe button, it would be much appreciated. But obviously, Arsenal have been really good this season. Looking at Burnley, as I said, absolutely no attackers at the moment. They all seem to be injured. Obviously, Burnley have a lot of games in hand at the moment because they've missed a lot of games. As much as I like Burnley and normally their chances versus Arsenal, as I said, they're just missing way too many key players. I can't see them scoring, so it's either going to be a 0-0 draw or an Arsenal win. And I am going to go with an Arsenal win. With a 1-0 win, I'm probably going to do something like that. I think it's going to be a really, I don't know, kind of a messy win. I think Arsenal are going to end up getting a scrappy goal in the 83rd minute or something random like that. And my player to watch is going to be the likes of Martinelli, a player who's really picked up so far this season, 4 goals and 2 assists in the Premier League. Once again, not the top highest of high stats, but as we know, he can be a very dangerous player on his day and one of those clinical youngsters in this Gunners team. Moving on, we've got Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. Now looking at these two teams, both heavily influenced by AFCON. Liverpool missing Mane, Salah, Keita. Looking at Crystal Palace, obviously Koyata, Zaha, a bunch of other players I'm probably missing. Jordan Ayew, although he should be returning back now. With both of these teams very heavily influenced, but looking at Liverpool, got a really strong win versus Brentford recently. And looking at Crystal Palace, as I said, just looking at their quality versus Liverpool, although I really like Crystal Palace, especially Gallagher. I think he's such a top talented youngster. I am going to have to give Liverpool a win. I think I'm going to go for something like a 2-0 win. I would like to say that I think Crystal Palace will score, but at the end of the day, I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. I see Liverpool winning, and I see my player to watch being Trent Alexander-Arnold. The youngster obviously didn't have a good season last season. I think it was a bit of a stinky one, but obviously currently the top assist maker in the Premier League. An amazing season for him. One of the best right backs in the entire world. Will be my player to watch, as his creativity is just on another level. Moving on, we've got Leicester versus Brighton in our second last game. Now looking at Leicester, they were beating Tottenham Hotspurs in their last game 2-1 in the 95th minute. How do I tell people that they ended up losing that game? Ended up conceding 2 goals in the 95th and 97th minute. I mean, Leicester City should be really sad with that. Looking at Brighton, once again, a team that can just steal opportunities absolutely anywhere. Have stolen some big points this season. McAllister has been absolutely brilliant. Mapai has stolen valuable points. I think Brighton could be a seriously dangerous team versus Leicester. I do think it could go either way though. As I said, Leicester losing points where they shouldn't this season. Obviously, Brighton only one less win than Leicester, which Leicester won't be happy with. And Leicester at this point need to fight for a top 10 spot in the Premier League. Not even a European spot, which I think they would be really disappointed with. But as I said, I do think that Leicester City will steal a win here. And I do feel like my player to watch is going to be James Maddison. Once again, a player like Trent, who wasn't brilliant last season, but this season 6 goals, 3 assists in the Premier League. He has been helping out Leicester City majorly this season, and once again versus a team like Brighton that's got quality from defense to attack, I think he could be the creative difference maker, the little magician, if you want to call him that, which by the way, I've just come up with that nickname in the footballing world. I'm sure that's never been used before. And now, guys, heading into our final game for Premier League Matchweek 23, it is Chelsea versus Spurs. Now, as I said, guys, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think will happen. But looking at Chelsea, I can't believe I'm saying this, but looking at Chelsea, they are 3rd place in the Premier League, but they've only won 1 of their last 7 Premier League games. How is that possible? Yes, I know they've gotten a lot of draws, but they have been in horrid form at the moment. And looking at Tottenham Hotspurs, they've been in brilliant form, winning 5 of their last 7. So comparing the two teams, Spurs are clearly stronger at the moment. But saying that, Chelsea versus Spurs, the last time Spurs beat Chelsea in the Premier League was 2018. So looking at these two teams, it could genuinely go either way. I think it could cause an upset. Looking at Chelsea, they just won absolutely nothing with Romelu Lukaku at the moment. I mean, Romelu, I really wish I could somehow have an opinion about why. I don't think you're wrong about the scenario you're in, but it's just happened. I think you've just absolutely made the hands fate you. If I hate you, you're not a favourite anymore at the club. But other than that, looking at Chelsea versus Spurs, as I said, could go either way. Spurs seem to be in better form, so I am actually going to give them a win. I think it will be a 1-0 win, if not a draw, to be honest with you. I think it will be that close. Once again, comment could come to bite me in the back, but I think Spurs will win it, and my player to watch is going to be Harry Kane. Yes, hasn't had the start that he wanted to this season, but he has started to score again for fun, is on 5 Premier League goals at the moment, which yes, for Harry Kane you would expect a lot more, but in his last few games over the last month or even 2 months, he's really picked up a level, and I think once again the clinical ability of Harry Kane over the last few weeks, I think it will show again versus Chelsea, a top rival of Spurs. As I said, could definitely go either way, and I'm definitely interested to find out what's going to happen in this game. But that, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why I said it in a weird tone like that, but that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for my Premier League Match Week 23 predictions. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Once again, if you want to see more of my stuff in the future, hit that good old subscribe button. It never lets you down, or at least it doesn't let me down when you guys end up hitting it. So thank you, and of course, hit that like button. Can we please get this video to 20 likes? Okay guys, this has been Finn, FYNN. Cheers.